If you love horror and you're not subscribed yet, then what you waiting on, Playboy? Go ahead and subscribe, smash that like button, and let's get the spooky vibes popping. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Terror of Tech. And before we start today's video, I want to say I appreciate all the love and the support the channel has been getting thus far. This has been something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. So it's really cool seeing the channel grow and seeing all the support and how you all are digging the channel. And just know that there's plenty more content on the way. And I want to continue to upload consistently for you all. So definitely make sure that you comment, like, subscribe, and continue to rock with your boy. And if you haven't seen my latest 2 videos, go ahead and click the links right here, and then we'll get this thing popping. For today's topic, we're talking about the top 10 horror villains of all time. This list is a combination of how much I like these particular horror villains and objectively ranking them based on their impact and their cultural significance to the genre. Now, before I begin this top 10 ranking, I want to give an honorable mention, and that would be for the Universal Classic horror monsters. Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, all of those Universal Classic monsters, because they were one of the OGs of the entire genre. I felt like I'd be doing them a disservice by not including them in some way, shape, or form. So definitely an honorable mention for all of them because they're essentially kind of what got the horror genre started. Now, to actually begin the list, starting at number 10, we have Pennywise/It. The reason why I rank number 10 as Pennywise/It is because Pennywise is an iteration of It, and it is essentially what makes that movie so cool because it transforms into whatever your darkest fears are. So like if you've watched the miniseries from 1990 or if you even watched the remake in 2017 or the second one that came after that, you see that with all of those characters, each of them are scared of something different, and it transforms itself into whatever they're most scared of. That's one of the most interesting concepts in horror. Now, although it can transform itself into, many different creatures, Pennywise is usually the main entity or the main creature. Either iteration, whether you say Tim Curry's Pennywise or if you say Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise, it's all roughly about the same in terms of the impact. They both did a fantastic job at portraying that character, especially that sewer scene with Georgie. And the remake did a great job in modernizing Pennywise's look and some of the action that he did on film. So, being a little more gruesome and gory by letting us see him bite off Georgie's arm and drag him under the sewer. And plus, ultimately, everybody in the horror genre knows who Pennywise is. He's been around for a long time. He's one of the horror icons, so that's why he's coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we got Jack Torrance. Jack Torrance from The Shining. The Shining is one of those movies where I didn't even watch it for the first time until I think it was 2021, and unfortunately I had COVID. That was such a horrible time. But it was cool because that was around the time where I was doing the 31 Days of Horror for the month of October, and The Shining was one of the movies that I wanted to watch because I hadn't seen it before. I was well aware of who Jack Torrance was. Everybody knows his most famous line, "Here's Johnny!" But the writing and the development and his character arc, and as you see him progress throughout the movie and simply become more mad, which leads him up to that scene of saying, "Here's Johnny." I mean, he's a fantastic horror villain, definitely one of the best of all time. Jack Nicholson was probably the perfect actor to even play that role just because he just looks so chill as he's starting to go crazy. Now, being completely honest, do I still to this day completely understand the movie? No, I do not. But every time I do watch it, I pick up something new, and it's really one of the more enjoyable horror movies and certainly a classic of all time. And Jack Torrance is a fine candidate for the number 9 spot on this list. Coming in at number 8, and I know this is going to be a little debatable, but it is Valic. Now, the reason why I choose Valic is largely because of a lot of the cultural significance that Valic has brought to the horror genre. Everybody and their mama, when The Conjuring 2 came out, went and got Valic costumes. There were so many different little skits and memes of Valic. And also what helps Valic make this list also is every time Valic appears on screen or is about to appear on screen, it always makes that little... It's like Valic has its own sound. Because of how good Valic is in those movies, and then its impact on all the costumes and all of the kids and people who are fans of horror today, especially in this current generation. Valic is definitely cracking the list at number 8. At number 7, we got Norman Bates. Now, Norman Bates is one of the best characters, protagonists, antagonists, whatever you want, of all time. So many different things spawned from the movie Psycho. Definitely one of the OGs of horror. Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates was also like a match made in heaven, similar to saying Tim Curry as Pennywise. Norman Bates being a character that has a split personality of his mother, and anytime killing him, he believes that his mother is the one that's telling him to do it, is really an interesting twist on how psychotic the mind can be, which is scary in itself. The movie and his character's impact on the horror genre cannot be understated. There's so many movies that spawned so many elements from it, even Halloween, a lot of those slashers, really the birth of slashers in a lot of ways. So Norman Bates is for sure getting his flowers, and that's why he's coming in at number 7. Coming in at number 6, we've got Leatherface. He was the first of the quote-unquote big 4 horror icons. What makes it interesting in his movies is he's not killing them just to be killing them. He's killing them because you're going to be in some barbecue. Before they even turn you into barbecue, he cuts off the skin of your face and then wears it as his mask. Like, if that's not a wild idea for a horror villain, then I don't even know. Yeah. The dinner table scene, just seeing them all so excited. And then not only just that movie, but even the remake. I thought the remake was really good. And then there's some other movies in that franchise that were good. Now, is Leatherface one of my favorites? Not exactly, but like I said, due to his impact on the horror genre, there's absolutely no way that I could keep him away from this list. He was absolutely going to be on it. Definitely one of the best for sure. All right, so now we done cracked into the top 5, and coming in at number 5, we have Ghostface. What's interesting about Ghostface and the Scream franchise is Ghostface is the only character out of all of these horror villains that I listed, and of most horror villains that I can think of in general, Ghostface is the only one that's played by multiple characters. And that's what makes the Scream franchise great in its own right, because each movie, you don't know who the killer is. Like, because there's multiple different people under the mask, and sometimes 2 killers at once. They're all still Ghostface at the end of the day. Off the strength of that alone, and then, you know, being completely honest, the 2 new movies that came out over the past couple of years really did try to expand the franchise. I thought they were pretty good sequels. I mean, for the most part, when you look at the Scream franchise, objectively, it's pretty solid. I think one is absolutely a classic. Then you have 2. 2's pretty good. 3 is so-so. 4 is really good. I think 5 was pretty solid, and then 6 was pretty solid as well. So, I mean, considering there is only one movie that is really close to what I consider a miss, then I think overall that's a pretty successful franchise. And talking about people wearing costumes for Halloween, everybody at least once in their lifetime has probably had a Ghostface costume for Halloween as a kid, or even as an adult. So no, for sure, a Ghostface is making this list, and he's coming in at number 5. Number 4 is Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger is by far the most interesting concept for a horror villain at all. Having a horror villain that comes to get you in your dreams and while you're sleeping when you're most vulnerable. Like, there's no greater concept. Like, typically when you think about it, when you have a nightmare and, you know, something's chasing after you and you're just, you know, you're petrified, wake up in a cold sweat. Imagine if whatever you were experiencing in your dream was actually real. And if Freddy gets you with that glove, you're not waking up. Yeah, no, that is an amazing concept. And what makes it harder is because everybody has to sleep. Now, yeah, you see in the movie they take Hypnosil and other dream and sleep suppressants. Ultimately, you're going to fall victim regardless, because at some point you need to sleep to even be able to operate and live. And so Freddy almost inevitably is going to get you. And that death scene in Dream Warriors where he's doing like a puppeteer thing. That was a fantastic kill, and it exemplifies everything that makes Freddy great. That's why he absolutely belongs in this top 5, and he's coming in at number 4. Now into the top 3. This is the real nitty gritty. So number 3, we have Jason Voorhees. Jason, objectively, it doesn't matter who's creating the list of their top 10 horror icons or villains of all time. There's absolutely no way that Jason wouldn't make the list at all. And Jason's impact and that hockey mask and cultural significance to the genre can't be understated. He's also one of the members of the big four horror icons. When you look at part two is the brawls and the sackhead. Then you move into part 3, where he eventually gets his mask. Part 4, he dies. Part 5, even though it's not actually Jason, clearly, as everybody knows, but still just having quote unquote Jason imposter come in and have a lot of physical features and mannerisms that we're familiar with Jason. And then you bring him back from the dead in part 6. And then from then on, he's considered zombie Jason. Essentially, when he becomes OP and he's dang near unstoppable. That's where you get more of those real theatrical kills where, his super strength shows. And there's no better example of that than that rooftop kill in Jason Takes Manhattan.
Take your best shot. Motherfucker.
And so without a doubt, Jason is top 3, I think, undisputed, and is coming in at number 3 on this list. All right, and then coming in at number 2, we got my dog, Chucky. So now I know a lot of y'all are thinking, Chucky will probably be fine making a top 10 list, but you're probably thinking that I'm a little crazy by having him at number 2. Well, no. If you think about Chucky's impact on the genre and his cultural significance and everything that he's brought to horror, I mean, he started a lot of people's fear of dolls, so that's one thing for sure. And then 2, just his longevity in all of the different content that he's in now. Not only just the Child's Play movies, that started in '88. I think a good portion of those movies are good, but the Chucky TV show really definitely gave him a boost, because the first season of the Chucky TV show was really amazing. For me growing up, Chucky was already one of the top icons. I remember being at my grandma's house and my cousins had Bride of Chucky on VHS. So a lot of times when I come over there, we'd be watching that. One of my favorite memories of Chucky. And Chucky is also one of those characters that went through multiple iterations as well. 1 through 3, he has the clean, pristine doll face. And then, in Bride of Chucky and on, leading up to the TV show, he stitches Chucky after the events of Child's Play 3. I think I like the original look from the first 3 movies a little bit more, but Stitch's Chucky is also fire as well. But Chucky is definitely one of the GOATs. Even so much so that I even got the cereal, that big ass bowl of cereal that Andy was making.
All right, good guys. That's our good guy, you.
Boy, have I got news for you.
Chucky is definitely a dog, and is rightly so coming in at number 2. And coming in at number 1, the GOAT, Michael Audrey Myers. Now, anybody that knows me knows that Michael Myers was going to be number 1 on this list, so that wasn't really even that much of a surprise, but he belongs at number 1. When we're talking about impact and significance, he has a movie for a whole holiday, so that by itself, every single October, he's the only horror icon that have their own holiday every single year. The majority of people in the United States, a good portion of them, are watching Halloween movies. I mean, who knew that a William Shatner mask could be so scary? Having that mask and then you can't really see the eyes, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. Michael just being a silent, sleek, stay in the shadows killer. And it doesn't matter, for the most part, what iteration you're looking at besides Rob Zombie's movies. Yeah, all of the ones from the timelines besides those, for the most part, I'm all a fan of. The biggest thing, honestly, about Michael and what makes Halloween so great, and specifically in certain timelines, is they don't explain why he did what he did. They don't explain, why he killed Judith, when he was 6 years old. It's just, he just snapped one day, killed his sister. And I think that's what makes it that much scarier, because there is no reason for why he did it. So then, it's just that, unconscious mind that is just, it's just that unconscious mind with no real motivation or reason behind it. That's what makes the character so great. It's just an innocent little 6-year-old child one day decides to kill his sister and then eventually goes on a rampage. So rightly so, like I said, Michael Myers is the best horror villain of all time, undisputed, and he will always be my favorite. He's always a dog, and that's why he's number one. And there it is. That's my top 10 list of horror villains of all time. Running them back down: Pennywise, Jack Torrance, Valic, Norman Bates, Leatherface, Ghostface, Freddy, Jason, Chucky, and of course the GOAT, Michael Myers. And so I thank y'all for watching. Comment down below what are some of your favorite horror villains of all time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Stay spooky.